Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Alumni Awards banquet today. And my name is Michelle Faltine. I'm the Alumni Director, and I just want to, again, congratulate all of our award recipients today and all of the guests that are here joining us. I do want to introduce Marty Fye. He is our Vice President for Advancement, and he's going to give a quick welcome.
Good afternoon. As she said, I'm Marty Fye, and welcome to Doane University's Homecoming Alumni Banquet. We're thrilled to have you all here today as we celebrate the spirit of the university, the strength of our community, and the remarkable achievements of alumni. Today is a special occasion when we come together to honor the dedication, talent, and accomplishments of individuals who've made a profound impact in their fields and in their communities. Their life's work reflect the values of excellence, leadership, and service that Doane has always strived to instill in its alumni. Whether in business, education, healthcare, the arts, or other areas of expertise, these honorees have demonstrated not only professional success, but also a deep commitment to making a positive difference in the world. As we look around the room, we are reminded of the strong bonds and connections all of us have as members of a Doane community. These connections are built not just on shared experiences, but shared values, dreams, and a belief in the power of education to transform lives. It is a sense of community and purpose that we celebrate today as we honor the contributions of those who join us today, and they inspire us to uplift our entire community. Thank you for joining us today for this celebration, achievement, and legacy. We hope you enjoy the day filled with fellowship, reflection, and gratitude. Here's to the lasting impact of our alumni and the future of Doane University. Welcome.
Next, I'd like to have Braden Bailey step up. He's going to do our invocation for us. He is a member of our Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Hello. Like she said, my name is Braden Bailey. I'm a senior here at Doane this year, originally from Malcolm, Nebraska, business administration major. And yeah, I thought I'd come up here and lead us in prayer. So if you guys would all bow your heads with me. Lord, thank you for just bringing us all together today. Thank you for all the amazing opportunities that Doane has presented us in whatever capacity that might look like. Please just fill this space today as we celebrate some amazing individuals and the accomplishments that they've been so blessed to receive from you. We ask that you just guide the conversation, bless the food that we eat, bless the hands that prepared it for us. And lastly, just look down on all the lost souls that decided to go to Concordia or any other institution around here in the GPAC. So in your name we pray, amen.
I'd first off like to recognize anyone that's a part of our half-century club. So we do have a few of those. I would like to recognize Dot Snezrud, Edith Skelton. We do have Elaine D'Amato. We have Eunice McCardle. Tom and Connie Hood are here. And then we do have Joanna and Paul Osterhout that are in the back. So thank you all for being here. We do have several from the class of 85, so those that are celebrating 40 and above. So I do want to recognize Mark Manning, Roger Barber, and then Kent Wolfe. Am I missing anyone else? We do have several people here from President Hughes' leadership team. So first off, I'd like to recognize that President Hughes is here. He always enjoys this event and celebrating with all of you. And you met Marty Fye earlier, our Vice President for Institutional Advancement. We also have our Vice President for Community and Government Relations, Luis Sotelo. We have our Vice President for Academic Affairs, Sue Larkin. And then our Vice President for Student Affairs, Judy Kawamoto. At this time, I'd like to bring up Kurt Runestad, who is going to be introducing Lynn Hall.
Thank you. I'm Kurt Runestad. I teach choir here at Doane, and it's my pleasure to introduce our first Alumni Award recipient today, my dear friend, Mr. Lynn Hall, who's receiving the PLATT Music Award, speaking on behalf of the music department and, of course, everybody here at Doane. This feels a bit like a full circle moment to me. This is my 22nd year at Doane. And Lynn came to Doane simultaneous with my predecessor, Larry Munson, in 1989. He's a 93 grad. And you may recall, Lynn, that you were also one of the first people to welcome me into this Doane music education family when I bumped into you at one of our choir conventions. I think it was in Sioux Falls. And we kind of put together, it was known at that time that I was coming to Doane in the fall of 2004. And I just remember the warmth and the kindness that you already were exhibiting. You didn't know me from anybody, but you were already treating me the way you treat everybody, which is with kindness and respect. So what a pleasure it is for me to be here. You can read all about Lynn in his bio. He is such a quality example of someone who has adopted servant leadership in the interest of music education for an entire career. I admire him so much. He's on my list of mentors, and every time we have a chance to visit, I just really appreciate his steadiness and his quiet strength, and I know that all of his students appreciate that, including Quint, who's here today to help welcome him. He's recognized as a leader in our profession. He ran the All-State Choir a few years ago, in charge of all 400 plus of those students and the guest conductor and all the coordination of the flow of the students and their rehearsals and all of that kind of stuff. And that just shows the faith that everybody in Nebraska has in him. He's from an extraordinary family with a lot of deep Doane roots. Some of them are here today, and I'll let him acknowledge all of his family rather than me calling them out. But it's been a pleasure to know them as well. I also had the pleasure of teaching a couple of his nephews who came here and sang in the Doane Choir, and so I kind of know this family from a number of different angles. It's my privilege to introduce and welcome Lynn Hall as the PLATT Music Award winner for this year.
Thank you, Kurt. Good afternoon, President Hughes, Alumni Award winners, Doane Advancement Team, friends and family. I am deeply honored to be the recipient of the PLATT Alumni Music Award. In fact, many of my music education heroes and mentors are on the list of previous recipients, including my uncle, Dr. Donald Goodrich, who was recognized with this award 30 years ago. So you might be asking, and well, in fact, you may not, what does it take to be a PLATT Music Alumni Award winner? Well, most likely this award recognizes my relatively long career in music education. You know, in a study done some years ago, they found the average career lifespan of a music teacher was 2.5 years. So, what do I got that they ain't got? What is it that allowed me to be a music teacher for over 30 years when the average career is considerably shorter? Well, simply, I think I got people. A long list of people who came into my life at the right time, who I am indebted to and thankful for, who made this teaching career possible. In the interest of time, I won't name them all, but here is the condensed version. Anna Marie and Raleigh Hall, who gave me the gift of singing, and when the time came and Mary Hawk showed up at my door, some of you know that name, Mary Hawk, worked for Doane at that time. They supported my enrollment to come to Doane. Also to Larry Munson, Doane Choir Professor Emeritus, who told me I could do this job. I'm thankful to Larry and the aforementioned Uncle Donald for modeling how to do this job with some style. For the good people of Meridian Public and Wahoo Public Schools, my first jobs who helped me survive those early years of teaching, thankful to them. And then, of course, the administration, staff, parents, and great students of Henderson Community Schools, Heartland Community Schools, who have for the past 29 years made music a priority for the school district. Parenthetically, I would say that I never needed to fight for this, which is sort of unusual, that this was always a source of pride for our school. And that sort of support is rare and likely why so many other careers in music are considerably shorter than my own. For 27 years, I shared an 8x10 office with my colleague, friend, and mentor, Roy Schweitzer, who contributed in countless ways to musical success at Henderson and Heartland, and I'm thankful for the privilege to have worked with him. And lastly, my wife, Daphne, our son, Ethan, and his wife, Casey, and Helena and Louise, who are back there with him, and our daughter, Ellen, who is not present today. These are my most important people. They learned to accept and support in mighty ways a husband and dad distracted by the needs often of the school and music class demands. So again, to them, I say thank you. About the time I was graduating from Doane, that same Donald Goodrich said something akin to, "Young man, I am most powerful envious of that music education experience and training you have gotten at dear old Doane College." Well, now in 2025, as I make a walk around campus and see the ongoing construction related to the improvement of the fine arts facility, I can also do the same to the current crop of Doane University music education students, that I also am powerful envious of the experience they are getting, due largely to the commitment to fine arts by this university. Thank you again for this recognition today.
Next, I'd like to introduce Patricia Crano, who will be introducing Mark Manning.
Hello, good afternoon. Wow, life is great. How could it get any better than to be here today to introduce my son for this award? It's made me so proud, and his two sisters are here today, and his dad. And I just want to tell you, whoever chose him for this, you did well. Mark is a true humanitarian. He always has been, ever since he was a little bitty boy. He has brought so much joy and happiness to our family. And when he started school, he was the same way in school. He attended York grade school and high school, and he always gave of himself to everything that he was involved in school. In grade school, I can remember being to a function, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th grade, and I forget what function it was. Mark had made a makeshift mic on a little stick, and he was walking up and down the rows singing, "Raindrops keep falling on your head." Oh, you talk about tears. But he's just been that way all through his life. And in high school, he created the Hollywood Hopefuls. And it was all students in the school, in the high school that was in this. And he wrote a play, and they produced and directed this play. It was very, very good. It's just the type of person Mark is. And I might add that during this time, he worked at Chances Are. A lot of you have heard of Chances Are in New York. Good place to eat. And I think Mark started working there as a busboy, like when he was 12 years old. And he worked there through high school to help supplement my income raising a family. But he's just that type of person, just giving out of himself all the time. After Mark graduated, he attended Doane College, where he spent 4 years. And he was very instrumental here. And you can read a lot about it in your brochures. I didn't mention a lot of these things, but he formed a lot of close friendships here that he has maintained throughout all of his life. They're still good friends, people that he went to school with right here at Doane College. After Mark graduated from Doane College, he moved to Kansas City, where he worked, he acted, he formed the KCK Teaching Garden Project. If none of you have heard of that, it was in 1999 through 2023, and he worked with the inner city schools in Kansas City. Kids that probably never knew what a garden was. He taught them about worms and nutrients in soil and how to maintain these gardens. And like we went down once when they harvested their sweet potatoes. We had sweet potato fries. Yummy. They were very good. You kids would have liked them. But he also in Kansas City has worked throughout all his years at different jobs. Plus, he has been involved in theater and a lot of plays. He also has an hour show on the KC, I'm going to get this wrong, Mark, 90.1 FM radio. Is that right? Got it right. And he told me I only had 5 minutes. So if you've been timing me, I've been cutting it short. I could go on and on. I'm just very proud. I know his father's proud, his sister's proud. And thank you for giving him this award. He truly deserves it. And so I announce to you Mark Manning. I'm going to probably topple over. You better come up here.
Thank you. Thanks, Mom.
So proud.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, be careful now. Yeah, they asked me who would you like to introduce you, and I immediately thought of my mother, because she's so much fun to be with and to play with and have fun with. I want to thank you to the president of Doane, Dr. Roger Hughes, and the Doane Alumni Association, specifically Natalie Johnson and Tom Reeves for helping to get me here today. Also the entire Doane community, the Doane players, past and present, to my classmates from 1981 through 1985. Also thank you to my family, my mom, who you just met, Pat Carino, who lives in Blue Hill, Nebraska, and my dad, Tom Manning, who lives in York, Nebraska, and has spent his life doing concrete construction, and at 83 is still doing concrete construction, believe it or not. Also my sister, Julie, and my sister, Susan. It's great to have our 5-family configuration back together today in a really special way. Also my partner, Caleb Belknap, who I've been with for about 34 years. He couldn't be here today, but I want to mention him also, because all of us know that whatever we do in our lives, it's our partners who help us do all of that. At Doane, I majored in theater, and if you work in theater, you need to be able to collaborate with large teams of people who specialize in specific artistic crafts. And you need to be able to communicate and to coach and to raise funding and to promote and to serve a broad and diverse audience, to promote the shows, to deliver a giant production on schedule, and then do that over and over and over and over again all the time. Theater majors make great leaders. They make great executive directors. There's recently been a study done on this about people hiring theater majors to be executive directors. I know when I told my family that I was going to be a theater major, I think they reacted a little bit more negatively than when I came out of the closet. But being a theater major has allowed me to have skills to do all kinds of things. And I learned all of that here at Doane College. It taught me about theater academically, but also physically with hands-on experience that I learned with every production, because we're a small college, and in the theater department, we had to do every job. All of my very best friends of my lifetime are my friends I met here at Doane. I was one of the theater people who lived in Fries Hall on the 3rd floor of Fries Hall. There was kind of a reputation about that floor in 1981, 82, 83, 84. But there were Fulbright scholars that lived on that floor, English majors and art students and journalists and educators. And it was incredibly enriching and sometimes a little wild, but I have so many stories I could share with you about that time. And at Doane, I lived for the theater, but I was also involved in the Doane Speakers Bureau. I worked for the library. I served as a peer advisor. Tom was in my peer group when he was a freshman, and I was a senior peer advisor. For one summer, I got to work on the grounds crew, and I worked with this woman named Glenna, who was like an Andrew Wyeth woman come to life with long strawberry blonde hair, who smoked Marlboro cigarettes, and someone had donated like $5,000 worth of bulbs that we planted that summer. She didn't get mad at me when I ran the golf cart off the trail into a tree, but we planted thousands of flowers together, and it was such a great. I also had a job driving international students to Lincoln on field trips, and I also worked for the senior Surrey until I got fired for wrecking a police car. But they hired me back the next week because they needed people to do the job. Doane College is an oasis of culture in my life and forever changed how I see art, work, and service. And after Doane, I was lucky enough to immediately become involved in theater in Kansas City, where I've worked as an actor, writer, stage manager, and a founder of our own theater company. And my work in theater somehow led me to become the founder and coordinator and director of the Organic Teaching Gardens, where we built raised bed organic gardens directly on the school grounds of 3 middle schools and 4 elementary schools in KCK. And we created a year-long curriculum of workshops that we did September through May in different classrooms. We did 350 workshops a year and did this for 25 years, serving 1st, 4th, and 6th graders, and also giving $10,000 worth of food back to the communities every year in the communities surrounding our gardens. People would ask me while I worked in the gardens, "Are you a master gardener?" And I would say, "No, I'm a theater major." And they would look at me kind of funny, and I would give them a little grin. Everything we do in our life leads us to where we are right now. And how wonderful for me that 40 years after graduating from Doane, I'm able to return to this beautiful campus and to be here with my immediate family members and to share my experience with all of you. Thank you so much.
For our next award, I'd like to introduce Rod Dirks to come up and introduce Perla.
Good afternoon. I'm Rod Dirks, a professor of education at Doane. I'm honored to introduce the recipient of the Young Alumni Award. This award recognizes an individual, 35 years of age or younger, who models the highest ideals of excellence exemplified by graduates of Doane University. Today, we honor Perla Jaimes with the 2025 Young Alumni Award. I admire the way Perla has embraced the opportunities in every chapter of her life. She immigrated to the United States from Mexico when she was the age of 9 years old. After some harrowing experiences, she arrived in Iowa and began elementary school. Perla recalls the excitement she felt when she saw her name on her desk. That teacher helped inspire Perla to look for opportunities to learn. and to help others learn. She continued to seek opportunities when her family moved to Crete. It was overwhelming to start over and move to a new town, a new school, and a new culture. Again, Perla seized the opportunities to learn. The documentary, When We Stop Counting, was released in 2010. It followed 6 Hispanic high school students in Crete as they navigated their personal struggles, parental expectations to achieve the American dream. Perla was one of the students featured in this powerful documentary. Perla shared that when she was young in elementary school, she only felt comfortable at school and at home. She didn't play outside much because she didn't know where or if she belonged. At this same time, Dr. Russ Shocek, Professor Jackie Florendo, and I were working on how to help children new to Crete make connections to their new home. So Perla's words helped to inspire us to build a Nature Explorer classroom on Doane's campus. Crete's children and families would be welcome to explore nature and would know they belong. When we finally had the ground opening ceremony for our Hidden Treasures, Tesoros Escondidos Nature Explorer classroom, Perla's son was the first to put a shovel in the ground. Perla thrived as a student in Crete Public Schools and went on to thrive at Doane through not 1, but 3 degrees. Perla began her successful teaching career as an ESL teacher at Crete, where she ensured that every student who arrived had their name on their desk. Eventually, she felt the need to make even a greater impact, and now she serves as the middle school principal, where she's helping students and teachers to thrive. Perla hopes the students at Crete recognize themselves in their principal, and she reminds her students, you are a big deal. You're learning both content and a language at the same time. She has a powerful voice for students and teachers in the state of Nebraska, which is why we invited her to serve as one of our vision improvement partners in the College of Education. These people review our procedures and data in our college and help Doane remain a leader in teacher education. Perla, your journey has been marked by challenges, but you not only overcame those challenges, you held the door for those who came after you. Would you please join me up here? Like the excitement that you felt when you saw your name on your first elementary school desk, Doane is thrilled to see the name Perla Jaimes on the Young Alumni Award. Congratulations.
Well, that is really hard to follow. Thank you, Rod Dirks. My speech is pretty short. So I am truly honored to receive the Young Alumni Award from Doane University. This university has been such an important part of my journey. Growing up in Mexico with very little and stepping onto the beautiful campus was definitely a dream come true. My drive has always been to show others what a blessing it is to have access to fantastic resources, and that if we use them wisely, the sky is the limit. I have so many people to be thankful for: family, friends, colleagues, professors. God has blessed me in so many ways. To my sons, Henry, Brian, and Jacob, who are here with me today, I want you to know that with hard work, determination, and belief in yourself, all things are possible. I also want to thank my professors at Doane who challenged me, encouraged me, and helped me discover my leadership skills. Especially Professor Rod Dirks for being such an important part of my experience at Doane, and for continuing to invite me back into his classroom, where I have the privilege to work with students who will one day teach our children and make a tremendous impact on so many lives. And to Professor Beth Scott, thank you for seeing more leadership qualities in me than I even saw in myself, and for believing in my ability to make a positive difference through educational leadership program. And finally, I'd like to thank my mother, Aurelia. I would not be standing here today without her courage and love. Leaving your home country in search for better opportunities for your children is the hardest thing a parent can do. Gracias, Ma, por todos sus sacrificios. Being part of this community has been a true blessing, and I'm so grateful to be recognized with this award. Thank you.
I'm not sure how I can follow that. Next up, I'd like to bring Tom Hood up to introduce Roger Barber.
In 1910, Roger Barber was born. He became a child prodigy pianist, and in 1936, he presented his first composition, Adagio for Strings. Wait a second. My snap jipita, not really good. It's not very intelligent, but it is certainly artificial. Actually, I'm Tom Hood. I was working with Roger as his defensive coordinator when he played football for us here at Doane. Roger was a cornerback for me. He was one of the most steady and reliable individuals I ever encountered. I was in my first year. I'd been here as a defensive coordinator for a couple years before that, but that was the first year that I was allowed to call my own defense and devise the thing. And with Roger around, and he was young, probably a freshman, as I was making all of these mistakes and trying to create, I could look to Roger. Now, on the field, Roger was so dependable. We always talk about every once in a while these passes would get behind us, and we're going, oh my gosh, we're in big trouble. And all of a sudden, Roger's hand would come by and swat the ball away. He would never intercept the pass. He would just swat it away. Now we call that next play. He would look at it and go, hey, we're all right. And so many times then I would worry, and I would look to Roger, and he doesn't even know this, but I would look to him, and he would give me that Roger smirk and nod. Hood, it's not broken. You spent Tuesday through Thursday developing this plan. You might want to dance with the one that brung you. And what I've discovered, coming to all of these things, that so much of this is not about our athletic prowess or anything like that. It's about leadership. And a couple of my cohorts while I taught here at Doane, we would discuss this idea of leadership. When Roger was around, leadership as a curricular offering was just in its infancy. And my cohorts and I would talk about if we're going to become a leader, it would be really good to learn how to follow. And following in that sense was not just keep your mouth shut and your head down. It was be engaged, observe things, and then when the time is right, make a suggestion or encourage somebody, stay with it, you've got it. And Roger, being as quiet as he is, he developed this because leadership is a style. And you will hear from him speaking is that his style is really different. It's steady, it's quiet, and it's reassuring. And I would like for you to accept Roger Barber for this award, please. Want to see my outline?
You did very well. Thank you.
Do I take this one?
Need help, Coach? Did. Good. Okay, I'll start with some thank yous. Coach Hood, thanks for the kind words. President Hughes, Vice President Fye, thanks for all your updates I've gotten over the years keep me aware of what's going on at Doane, and a lot of good things going on here. There must have been some committee that nominated me for this award. I don't know who they are, what that process was, but thanks to those people, so appreciate it. My entire family is here. Thank you guys for taking time to come over. And congrats to the other award winners. It's a great day for everybody here. So when I start, I'll reflect on my time at Doane, and there's all kinds of stories I could tell, but I'm going to focus on two traits that were instilled, solidified while here at Doane. Work ethic. It just works for everything. So work hard, play hard, but not just work hard, work smart. That seems to be pretty key. You can swing pretty hard with the wrong side of an axe, and you're not going to cut a tree down. So you got to have a little smarts there. Second one would be planful. Always planning, always thinking one step ahead, as Coach said. And to do that, you have to prioritize. There's a never-ending list of things you want to do, you'd like to get done. You can't do them all, so you got to prioritize. And so those traits while here at Doane, those have been very impactful for me in my career and all the things I've done after my time at Doane. It gave me confidence to take on responsibilities some people might shy away from. I was always anxious to tackle the next challenge. And those traits helped me through that process. I developed a trait, I probably had it, didn't realize it, of listen more than talk. And a speaker at one time made a point that really hit home with me. Listen with the intent to understand, not with the intent to respond. If you're trying to think how you're going to respond, chances are you're not really listening anymore. So that's pretty key to me. So I want to touch base on that. And through all this, there's an evolution that takes place of the realization that you can accomplish more through others than just by yourself, and that's leadership. And I know that's so crucial in the efforts you're striving here with Doane, President Hughes, so continue that, please. Those that know me would hear me say it's not the destination but the journey, and it's been quite a journey. And I'll get a little emotional here. There are two constants that I feel I'd be remiss to not mention. One is my faith in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. My second would be my wife, Shelley. High school sweetheart, with me all the way. She took care of the kids at home, making my daughter cry. Enabled me to do the things I did in my time after Doane, so I'm very appreciative of that. So you need to know that. So in a nutshell, thank you. Merrill will ring, and go Tigers.
If you all don't know yet, we usually have an over-under on whether how many times Roger Hughes will shed some tears. So some of you have beat him to it today, and I appreciate that, including myself. Next up, I'd like to bring Marilyn Johnson-Farr up to introduce Rudi, Molet, Wolfe.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Marilyn Johnson-Farr, Professor of Education. As an educator, I have the privilege of pouring into those who are called to teach and have the opportunity to watch how they, in turn, pour out. The nominee today is an example of the power that comes from pouring out. Adapting to a new collegiate experience can be a challenge, leaving behind your family, your own bed, privacy, and comfort food on a regular basis, but some are able to make the most of it. Rudi was one of those spirits who walked into campus ready to be a student, an athlete, a social justice leader, willing and able to navigate any and all the challenges from beginning to end, because she understood her why and her purpose. For many students who come to Doane, they see their people immediately. But for some of us, we have to look a little bit harder. I am so grateful that we were able to see each other, and in times of struggle, we have been able to find common ground to keep moving forward. Her passion for those who have unique approaches to learning is evident in her initial special education degree, and later it took her leadership skills to a higher level as she led as a special education coordinator, then as an assistant principal, and is now principal at Zeman Elementary. All the while, she continues to pursue her thirst for learning as she works toward her ed specialist degree, and I look forward to seeing her in our doctoral program. Job well done, Rudi. Continue to chase your dreams and walk boldly so others have no choice but to notice. Congratulations, Rudi, on being chosen for the Educator of the Year Award.
I'll wait for the bell ringing till the end of my speech. My husband has requested. Sayla, I'll let you know when it happens. Welcome and thank you to the Doane staff, family members who are here, and guests, and all of the other alumni winners. It is a tremendous honor to be here today and to be recognized as Doane University Alumni Educator of the Year. When I first received the news, I was completely surprised and deeply humbled. This award feels like less than an individual accomplishment and more like a testament to the incredible community, family, and friends that have helped me get to where I am today. Some of my community is here with me today in body and in spirit. And I would love for my family and friends and supporters to please stand up and be recognized, as this is as much your award as it is mine. So please stand, my family. I have my husband and my 3 daughters, my in-laws, Kay and Kent, and my father and stepmother, Richard and Sonia. As I reflected over my years in education as a student scholar and an educator, these quotes seem to resonate and drive me. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Malcolm X. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela. Being an educator has always been a passion of mine since I was in kindergarten. I was a scholar who wore the teacher outfit with the glasses at the kindergarten program and shared my dream of education and becoming a teacher. Moving forward many, many years, I still remember my first visit to college at Doane. And at this time, I was a young athlete from Colorado Springs, Colorado, looking for a place where I could continue my basketball career and pursue a strong education with the goal of a career for special education teacher. What I found at Doane was a place that offered so much more. Doane wasn't just a place to get a degree, it was a place to grow, to learn, and to be driven to be better today than yesterday. And actually, my dad called it Doane for about my first full year, and I was like, it's Doane. It's Doane, Dad, not Doane. So we got that fixed. My time here at Doane was shaped by so many experiences, from double majoring in elementary and special education, advised by my wonderful advisor, Dr. Marilyn Johnson Farr, to compete as a collegiate athlete on the women's basketball team, and to be a resident assistant in Sheldon Hall and Hanson Hall. But it was my involvement with multicultural groups like Students for Change that truly opened my eyes. These groups gave me a safe space to explore my own identity and, more importantly, to learn from the lived experiences of my peers. That's where my lifelong passion for equity and inclusion truly took place. I also have to acknowledge my amazing professors. They didn't just teach me education, they provided me meaningful experiences and resources to learn from. My professors provided me with the practical tools to create inclusive classrooms and lead with empathy. They saw my full potential to go further in education and challenged me to grow as a leader and an educator. And I accepted that challenge each year because I never wanted anyone to say I didn't have enough experience, a belief that has guided my career ever since. After graduation, I had the privilege of returning to Doane to complete my master's degrees, work with the next generation of educators as an adjunct professor, and I now continue to work on my specialist and doctoral degrees. The lessons I learned at Doane didn't just stay on campus. They inspired me to be creative create inclusive spaces for others in every part of my life and in every classroom I worked in throughout various districts. I also had the opportunity to meet my amazing husband while in college, and we have 3 beautiful children. I want to thank my family, Zach, my husband, a fellow Tiger, who did track and still teaches our girls track, and our 3 amazing children, Zemi, Selah, and Keziah. Thank you for your unwavering support. I know it's not easy having a mom who's very active in school, but you support me in everything that I do and in every place that I've been. This award is also a reflection of your patience, encouragement, and unwavering love, which have supported me along this journey. To the Doane College University community, thank you for being the foundation of my educational career and for instilling me the values of leadership, service, and a commitment to educating scholars of all ages. I am and will continue to be so proud to be a Doane Tiger. Thank you, and go Doane!
And for our final award, I'd like to have Eunice McCardle come up to introduce Elaine D'Amato.
I'm short. If you can't hear me, let me know. I'll move it again. Hello, my name is Eunice Kemper McCardle. I graduated in 1970 with a degree in sociology. I am connected to Doane in many ways. As a member of the pep band, I had the privilege of watching the Tigers win every home football game for 4 years. I'm a member of Gamma Phi Iota sorority. I met my husband, J. Patrick McCardle, class of '68, here. We were married in 1970. Elaine was one of my bridesmaids. After he graduated from law school in 1972, he was hired by a Wilbur firm that was expanding into Crete and wanted a new associate who had Doane connections. So we moved back to Crete and we have lived here for 53 years with the same former Doane staff, neighbors on both sides of us, which is kind of amazing. Anyway, we had 5 children, 4 sons and a daughter. In about 1984, Doane decided to reorganize. Oh, thank you. Doane decided to reorganize the alumni organization. We were recruited along with Terry Michael, Ellen Holstein, Pat Beans, who eventually married, Paul and Echo KERSENBROCK, and others to develop the new attempt at being an alumni council. Paul was Pat's best friend. Paul died. The Alumni Council created the Paul KERSENBROCK Humanitarian Award to honor him, one of our own. This is why Elaine receiving this award today is so meaningful to me. In 1986, Doane hired me as a part-time temporary employee in the advancement office. I had to resign from the Alumni Council to become their staff liaison. I worked here for 24 years. During that time, the alumni database became attached to my brain, and we watched our 5 children also graduate from Doane. My daughter is here with us today. The Paul KERSENBROCK Humanitarian Award is presented to alumni whose lives are distinguished by extraordinary service, unselfish dedication, and service to others through their work and lifestyles. I am here to present this year's award to my very dear friend, Elaine D'Amato, class of 1971. Elaine, please come up and join me.
Thank you. Sorry.
I met Elaine when she came to Doane from Massachusetts when I was a sophomore. Doane was an extra special place at that time. The student body was from all over the country and the world and had grown from 300-something to 700-something in a very short time, a lot due to the Vietnam War. We were very diverse in many ways. We were ahead of our time in Nebraska with the quality of our student life and the cohesiveness of our community, of our campus community. President Phil Heckman called us, in this place at that time, a microcosm. He was right. When Elaine accepted her bid from Gamma Phi Iota, she owned only skirts and dresses. Wait a minute. We took her shopping to buy a pair of jeans because Greek Week is impossible without jeans. The sorority gave both of us many opportunities to learn more about ourselves, to gain skills in organizing people and events, to develop our leadership styles, and to serve others. We each served as president of the sorority our junior years. We also participated in a variety of other campus activities and groups. Elaine served the campus as a member of Student Congress, was co-editor of The Owl, an RA in Freeze Hall, and more. She was also a good friend to many. Elaine took her Doane sociology degree to the University of Kansas, Lawrence, and earned her master's degree in social work. She worked with children and people in need in various communities. She married and had a daughter. Unfortunately, her marriage was not a happy one. After her divorce, she came back to Nebraska with her daughter, studied law at Crete University, and became an attorney. She lived in Omaha and worked at Legal Aid of Nebraska for more than 23 years, helping women who have been abused and providing civil legal services to low-income individuals. Elaine, I love you, and it is my very great honor to present the Paul KERSENBROCK Humanitarian Award to you. This is yours too. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, I'm sure. Fell off again between your legs. You don't need it? Okay. Thank you, President Hughes and the Alumni Council and the Doane community for this award. I love Doane. This love began in 1966 when I read a Doane catalog in my high school guidance counselor's office. So I applied to Doane and I sent in the $5 fee. In January of 1967, I tore through an envelope, saw my acceptance letter, which meant I could major in sociology and eventually be a social worker. My parents were very proud of me because I was the first member of our family to go to college. My mom put this letter with red tape up on her kitchen wall because she was so proud of me. My mom was a great supporter of me. And of course, I kept this because I keep important things. Doane was my big adventure. Every day I learned new facts, new ideas, and questions to think about. I met students from various backgrounds. I went home one weekend with Janice and Joanne Kepke to their farm outside of Norfolk. I mucked out a barn and milked cows, and I was in joyfulness. I was so happy to do this. Her 5 brothers thought I was crazy. It was an honor to be invited to the Heckman home. In addition to brilliant conversation, I was exposed to culinary excellence with Barb Heckman. She had fondue and baked Alaska, two things I never heard about. They were glorious. I had to write home about it. Working for the Owl for 2 years was enlightening and educational. I interviewed retired U.S. Supreme Court Tom Clark. He was the father of anybody who went through the Nixon era, Ramsey Clark, who was the Attorney General. I was grateful that Doane brought in interesting speakers, and it widened my horizons. The Owl office was on second floor Merrill. All of our records, old issues of the Owl, and even my moth-eaten stuffed owl that was on my desk was destroyed in the fire. We used Boswell as a temporary office, and we published the Owl on time. I also experienced sadness at the death of an Owl staffer, the burning of Merrill, and the anhydrous ammonia tragedy. These were learning experiences on how to acknowledge, accept loss, and accept losses, and still to go forward. This experience would serve me well in the future. I mastered Robert's Rules of Order, being a Stuco senator and a secretary. I was a member of Gamma Phi Iota for 4 years. I met and still have many friends from the organization 50 plus years later. Today, Eunice, Dot, and Edith are here, and Dot and Edith were also my freshman kids on my second North Freeze hall. I had all freshmen, and I was their RA, and I loved them dearly, and I came back last year for their 50th reunion because they were great, but they were very mischievous too. They kidnapped me and took me to the Dairy Queen and locked me in the bathroom. I was blindfolded. So yeah, those are things like we wouldn't do today, but you know. So yeah, they did that. It was different. I visited a Gamma sister in Debbie Dukes in Eureka, California. She took me, we walked through the redwoods, and I hugged a tree, and I have a picture. So these are, Doane alum, and we're just still close with all of these folks because of the Doane connection. It's just all over. Senior year, I applied for graduate school for an MSW. I hated to leave Doane. I felt profound sadness and a little fear about leaving, and especially the closer it got to graduation. This was my home. I felt so close to Doane. I didn't want to leave. But then I thought about what everybody, my professors and staff and friends had done for 4 years. They prepared me to graduate and go forth and do a good job. And that's what I remembered, and I went forward. I went to KU in Lawrence and on a full grant, so that was nice. I didn't have to pay anything. While at KU, I had the opportunity for a whole summer between my 2 years to go to California, San Joaquin Valley with professors and 10 students. We worked with the United Farm Workers who were organizing at that time. I met Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta and saw their unselfish actions, their deep personal sacrifices for others, and what marvelous role models for a future social worker. It was fascinating and scary to be on a picket line because a lot of people say bad things to you, come right up in your face, and that's a learning thing again. We were trying to get farm workers basic human rights, such as drinking water while they're out in the field for 10 hours a day. Things that we take, and then in those days, 1972, we took for granted. But, those weren't there. With my MSW, I worked as a social worker with handicapped kids and their families, and some foster care with handicapped children. I worked in Kansas, Missouri, and Florida doing that. I got married and had my beautiful daughter, Amber. I thank God for her every day. For 14 years, I was physically and emotionally abused by my then husband. I never told my family, friends, or coworkers about this abuse. If I went to work with a split lip or bruises or marks on my face and was asked, I lied because I said I was in a car accident or something. And I could not tell anybody. And the shame from being a battered woman is crippling. And sometimes you just can't even think how to get out. I did get the revelation to move finally out when this abuse went to my 5-year-old daughter, Amber. She was thrown on the floor when she crawled up on her dad's recliner to kiss him goodnight. That disgusting act cemented my decision, and I filed for divorce. Living in the same geographic space as my abuser was very difficult. I applied to law school. I visited Doane with Amber. We came for a visit, probably stayed with Eunice. Eunice's hotel. I visited Dr. Heckman in Lincoln. He had retired by that time from Doane. I spoke to him about the domestic violence and that I had applied to two law schools. On his own, Dr. Heckman contacted the dean of the University of Nebraska at Lincoln Law School and Crete University Law School dean. And so after 18 years of me leaving Doane, this wonderful man provided personal recommendations on my behalf to these two law schools. I got into both, and I had applied to one school in Florida, and I didn't get in. Yes. If I had gotten in, I wouldn't have been allowed to leave the state. This is the Doane connection. So all these years later, Dr. Heckman is still on my side, 18 years after graduating. So at 40 years of age, with a first grader, I was able to go to law school, but I was not allowed to take my daughter out of the state. So according to the law and my divorce decree and my ex-husband, we couldn't go more than 50 miles. Sounds very primitive, doesn't it? I had to go to court to get Amber out so that we could move. After much litigation, we won, and we moved to Nebraska, to Omaha for law school. We had 2 weeks' notice before school started with a court decision. So we packed up, and I contacted another classmate, Colleen Cheney Vincent, and she lived in Omaha. She located a rental house for us and a grade school for my daughter that was close. Again, we didn't have any knowledge of where we were going to live. She found it for us. I asked Colleen to be here today, but she was unable. My wonderful mother drove me, Amber, her cat Sweetie, and our pet Pigeon from Florida to Omaha. What a trip. After law school, I had my own office for a few years doing family law. When my daughter went away to college, I joined Legal Aid of Nebraska and worked there until December 31st of 2024. I was 76. I did not want to leave my job. I loved it. Actually, I retired in August of 24, but they allowed me to work 10 to 15 hours a week training other people to do domestic violence cases, and I still had a few cases. I appeared by Zoom. So that kind of helped. But I so enjoyed working. I worked mainly with domestic violence cases. Law clerks, I had several law clerks I trained, and other attorneys, how to work with domestic violence clients, because it's completely different than a regular client that comes in for bankruptcy. How to work with them in their difficult divorce and custody cases. I found that I was able to do this stressful and sometimes thankless job because of my terrible 14 years of abuse, gave me this frame of reference that others did not have. And I believe any dark and exceedingly negative experience can always be brought into the light and used for good. I currently live in upstate New York, and I am happy to see my daughter and my wonderful, adorable 17-month-old grandson, Kari, every day. I push him on his swing. I read to him. He is the light of my life, and I am blessed. Thank you so much.
I do want to thank all of or congratulate all of our award winners again today. So please help me in congratulating them. I truly feel honored to be in this room with all of you, to know that just being surrounded by greatness. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. Next up, we do have President Roger Hughes with a few remarks.
Those are hard acts to follow. And by the way, just so you know, well, I'll talk about it in just a second. First of all, welcome back to Doane, where our purpose is to build leaders, and we focus on the student experience. We are building the institution everyone wants to be like, and I'm not interested in being number 3 or number 2. I'm interested in being the best. Also, a disclaimer, if it's been referenced a little earlier today, I can get a little emotional. The students have picked up on it, and now there's an over-under on how quickly I have, or over-under on how many clip quivers I have during a speech, and then how fast it's going to happen. So, but I will point out to my lovely bride, today we had crier. So just saying. As I got up to get to the speech, my wife leans over, just keep it short. Honey, we've got 1 hour and 2 minutes to the concert. I got plenty of time. Here we go. Thanks so much for being here, and it's very appropriate that we honor these alumni who've left Doane and have gone on to do great things. Our best of the best. In fact, it's Doane's Top Gun. My congratulations to all the award winners, and thank you to all the presenters as well. I've introduced my wife, Laura. Thank you to the Doane community and the Crete communities that have just embraced us, and especially Laura. You know, she's immersed herself in Doane, and so much so that when I call to get appointments, the first question I get is, your wife coming? Okay. Yeah, she's coming. Okay, then I'll take the appointment. We're good. Before we adjourn, I just want to share some of the exciting things that are going on here at Doane. I am so proud of our Board of Trustees. They chose to invest in our students and the student experience when other colleges are tucking their wings and just batting down the hatches. And because of this investment, our first semester to second semester retention was over 93% the last 2 years, a 20-year high. And our first year to second year retention has been around 78.9% for each of the last 2 years, when the national average is 50%. And this year's freshman class is 25% larger than last year's freshman class. So we are doing it in a very, very difficult time, and we're doing it because of who Doane is and the people we have in this room that have helped me to build this. When I arrived at Doane, we had not had a comprehensive campaign in 26 years. We finally did the feasibility study and launched the Our Time to Lead campaign with a goal of $100 million back in May of 2023. We just announced the public phase of this campaign this last May, and I'm proud to say at this point, okay, there's the first one. We have raised $84.3 million in just 2 years, 5 months. and we have a line of sight to break through that 100 million mark by the end of this fiscal year. This campaign has helped our endowment by funding scholarships and endowed chairs. Additionally, it's helped us build a new residence hall, remodel our dining hall, build a new President's House and Event Center, and resurface the baseball field. We are currently renovating the Fred Brown building on our Lincoln campus for our graduate students and lifelong learners, and we are in the process of creating a new performing arts center, as you saw the construction out here, and we're about halfway home to having the funds to build a state-of-the-art academic building that will house business, engineering, data analytics, AI, computer science, and math. It'll be our mini innovation center on campus. This campaign is helping our faculty embed AI and leadership across our curriculum. And that's because we build leaders, and we've been doing it the best for 153 years. While there's so many great things going on, there are also some challenges we're facing in higher ed. Higher education is under attack from all sides, and it's been under attack to the point where some are even wondering if college is worth going to. We in higher ed must take some of the blame for that, because we allowed the media and the politicians to define who we are. We need to take back the narrative. You can help us with this by sharing your experience here at Doane with others. Recommend Doane to all the college-age students that you know. Enlighten their parents as to how special Doane is. And if you have internship opportunities for our students, please let us know. We'd love to partner with you to help our students. We are only $16 million away from achieving our campaign goal of $100 million. It would be presidential malpractice if I didn't ask you to help us close this gap. By joining us this weekend, you have seen firsthand some of the results of your investments. More importantly, when you stepped on campus, you felt the difference. It feels different than it did 5 years ago. I've heard it, some call it this weekend the Doane spirit. I get the luxury of having that feeling every time I come to campus every day. All to say, now's the time to double down on Doane. Now is the time to double down on what we do with the liberal arts here. Doane has always operated with great traditions, and you are the power behind that tradition. We can't build the institution everyone wants to be like without your investment in our students, because it's about the students, about the students, about the students, and their experience. Again, congratulations to the award winners. Thank you again, presenters, and thank you everyone for being here. Merrill will ring, go Tigers, and Sco Doane, go Roll Tigers. Thank you very much.
For our final prayer, I'd like to bring up Jake Parsley, who's also an FCA representative.
Yeah, as she said, I'm Jake Parsley, senior this year, involved with the FCA, also cross country and track. I can say as a current student, it's just really cool to see a bunch of alumni in this room. Obviously, I'm in this same residence hall. We actually sit in that table right there every day in the CAF, but with a bunch of peers. And so it's just really cool to see the lasting impact that Doane's had, with my mom being a 93 grad, and me also here as a current student. It's just really cool to see everybody in this room and the time that you've taken to come give back to a community that now I'm a part of. So with that being said, I'd like to close us in a moment of prayer if you could bow your heads. Father, I'm just so grateful for everybody in this room. It's such a blessing that we can come together and enjoy this fellowship with one another and see the love that's permeating throughout this entire room, and also just this campus as a whole. I think we've all been touched by people in our lives and parents and everybody else that's influenced us through your Spirit, Lord. And so thank you for allowing us with this opportunity, and I pray that you'll continue to bless this campus. In your name, amen.
As we close out today's banquet, I do have a few thank yous. For everyone that's in the Advancement and Alumni office, if you guys would stand up for a second, I'd like to thank all of you. Without them, this event doesn't happen, along with our Fresh Ideas staff who helped do all of the food today. And as we conclude, I'm going to have Dallas Mueller-Pry and John Lemus come up. They're here to sing our alma mater, which is on page 3. So we're going to conclude with that. And then if you have the chance, feel free to please come to the homecoming concert that's at 3 p.m.
the spacious valley, glorious to view, stands a noble alma mater, towering toward the blue. Every student all together sings the glad refrain, till the breezes music laden echo back again. Hail to thee, our foster mother, noble friend so true. Ours are hearts that fondly love thee, sing thy praise anew. Lift the chorus ever onward, dear old varsity, with the watchwords honor, duty, don't we pledge to thee.
Thank you again, everyone, and enjoy your afternoon.